Hello and welcome to Catholic Answers Live. I am Cy Kellett, your host. Thanks so much for being here with us on this, what is it? It's a Wednesday afternoon. I got all confused there for a second. I thought it was a Tuesday afternoon, but it is a Wednesday afternoon. I know because Tuesday was a really good day for us. And I want to share that. Joe Heschmeyer is our guest, and you are welcome to call. I guess the word got out that Joe Heschmeyer is our guest. There's only 2 lines open at the moment, but if you've got a question about anything having to do with the Catholic faith, you're welcome to call 888-318-7884, whether you're Catholic or not. As a matter of fact, whether you have any faith at all or not, whether you are curious about the Catholic Church or whether you might want to pose a challenge to the Catholic faith, you're welcome here, 888-318-7884, 888-318-7884. Yesterday was day numero uno of our annual spring pledge drive. And I told you I'd come back and tell you how we did yesterday. And both hours, we had a $20,000 match each hour yesterday. And both hours, we were able to meet the match. So I just want to say thank you for getting us started. And we're very, very grateful. The way it works around here, as you probably have heard me say before, is we fund for the next 3 months. So for the last 30 years, we've come to you each quarter and said, hey, we need the money to keep going for the next 3 months. And always over those, it's not quite 30 years, but roughly 30 years, folks have responded and said, yes, we will support you. So let me tell you about where we're going to be this hour, and then I'll bring Joe Heschmeyer in. All the lines are full for Joe as the show goes on. If you want to call in, 888-318-7884. Wanted to give out that number one last time because I'm going to be giving the other number for most of the show. Here's how it works. We've got a $20,000 match. A very generous donor has given us $20,000 if we can raise $20,000 this hour. So if we raise 10, the 10 gets matched. If we raise 15, the 15 gets matched. If we raise the full 20, 2 things happen. One, we reach our goal for the hour. That's our goal. We know where we need to be in order to be headed towards being fully funded for the next 3 months. That's what we're looking for, is $20,000 this hour. The other thing we do is we get the other $20,000. We use up all that match. 888-291-8000 is the number to call. 888-291-8000. That will get you straight into our offices here where our colleagues are waiting on the line for you right now. No calls yet, so you can be the first one today. Any gift in any amount up to $20,000 matched dollar for dollar. 888-291-8000. But we've also got 2 other matches I want to tell you about because our supporters know what we need, and one of the things we need is monthly donors. So if you start, there's our first call today. Thank you so much for getting us started. So if you're a new monthly donor and you can make a pledge of $20 a month, you'll be matched a second time. Just think about that. You pledge $20 a month. It's matched once to turn it into $40 a month, and it's matched a second time to turn it into $60 a month. So your money is essentially tripled. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000. One other match to tell you about, and then I will bring Joe Heschmeyer in here because I've got a question I want to ask Joe before I let you ask Joe your questions. And that other match is this. If you can make a one-time gift of $500, we've got a donor who will match it a second time. Now, if you can do more than 500, if you can do 700 or 1,000 or 2,000, this donor will match it, and as long as it's over $500. So let's review that. If you are able to make a pledge right now of $500, you get matched, 100% matched on that $20,000 match, but it get matched a second time. So for us, it becomes $1,500. 888-291-8000. There are 2 other ways to access that match and to support us. You can go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com, safe and secure online, CatholicAnswersRadio.com, or just use your phone computer and put in a text the word Catholic to 24365. Just text the word Catholic to 24365. Enough of that. We'll spend a few minutes this hour raising money, but we really want Joe Heschmeyer to answer our questions. Joe Heschmeyer, apologist here at Catholic Answers, the author of The Eucharist is Really Jesus, The Early Church Was the Catholic Church, Pope Peter, and so many other great books. Joe Heschmeyer, thank you very much for being here with us on Fundraising Day.
I'm happy to be here.
We love having you. Now, I've got a kind of a challenge for you. It's the 1 minute challenge. Did they tell you I was going to give you a 1-minute challenge today?
I did.
Okay.
I told you were going to give me a 1-minute
Okay,
challenge.
good, because it would be bad if I was about to give you a 1-minute challenge and nobody told you you had the 1-minute challenge. But people like this on the internet, so we thought we'd try it with you. Give me your 1-minute defense of the papacy. Joe Heschmeyer, 1-minute defense of the papacy.
Starting now?
Oh, yeah, go. I'm sorry, I should have said the word go. I apologize. Go!
All right. In Luke 22, when the disciples are arguing about which of them is the greatest, Jesus gives a model for leadership in the church. That leadership is servant leadership. He gives himself as the model for what that looks like. But this doesn't just mean people choose to be leaders. Leadership is top down in the church. We see this by Christ's own example. He chooses the 12, and then he describes how he appointed them and is going to have them govern the 12 tribes sitting in judgment on thrones in the kingdom. This is a symbol of royal authority. This is what judgment is. If you want more on that, read the book of Judges.
Okay.
And then he selects one of them, Simon Peter, and says, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has desired to sift all of you, like you all, you plural, like wheat. But I prayed for you that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brethren. So Peter is put in the position of servant leader of the servant leaders. That's what the papacy is. 55 seconds.
You got more time. Oh my gosh, I wasn't ready. I was still napping. I had no idea you were going to finish early. Joe Heschmeyer killed it. 888-291-8000 is the number you can call to pledge your support. Catholic Answers Live. This program, and this I'll just say this, and then we will let Joe take caller questions. It goes all around the world for free. It's on the EWTN network. It's on local radio stations. It's on people's podcasts and people's websites. It's on their apps all around the world. I have heard it in many countries that are not the U.S., and other people do as well. You hear us get the calls from the Philippines or Nigeria or like, as I always like to say, exotic places like Sweden, and you're supporting that. You make that possible. The reason we can get it out to people all around the world is your support. So one more time, I'll give the numbers and the places to go, and then I'll let Joe answer some phone questions. The number is 888-291-8000. Please call and make your pledge right now. Every pledge matched up to $20,000. 888-291-8000. Or you can go.
Sorry, can I say something about that? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Give the website or text, whatever you were going to give.
CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Yeah.
Safe and secure. You can go safe and secure, because I say it every time. CatholicAnswersRadio.com. All right, go ahead.
I remembered the wrong part. I remember the safe and secure part, not the
not the
part
where you go.
Where to go, safe and secure. Yeah, so it only kind of worked. But I was going to say, if you think about it like a spectrum. So look, for everybody listening, here's why you should support Catholic Radio. The world needs evangelization, and evangelization is not going to be a one-size-fits-all sort of approach. And one of the most effective things you can do to evangelize is interact with somebody one-on-one. This is what we call deep evangelization. You can accompany them, you can plant the seed, and you can water the seed, and you can help grow the seed. You can be with them maybe along their entire journey. But not everyone is called to do that for everyone, because you're limited in the number of people you can do that with. So you have, in addition to deep evangelization, you've got broad evangelization, where you reach a lot of people. And so one of the things that we try to do is do as much as we can in the way of those two dimensions, reach as many people as we can in as deep a way as we can. And radio is uniquely suited to that. Why? Because right now you are part of a live conversation. So it manages to be, on the one hand, this medium through which thousands, hundreds of thousands, however many people, whoever wants to tune in can tune in. And at the same time, it's not just anonymous and generic. People call in with their individual personal problems, which might be the same as your personal problem. And so we can have an actual deep conversation in a truly human way while also reaching a lot of people. And so this is more personal than a book and more intimate than a book, but at the same time reaches more people than a one-on-one conversation. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. It's just one important tool in the arsenal of evangelization that we have.
Joe Heschmeyer, our guest, call that number, 888-291-8000. Now 10 of our colleagues are waiting by the phone. One is on the phone, so 11 of them at their desks ready to take your call, 888-291-8000. We will start in Sunnyside, Washington. Listening on the Catholic Answers app is John in Sunnyside, Washington. Welcome, John. Thanks for getting us started.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me today.
We're happy you're here. Thank you. Thanks for getting us going.
Yep. Awesome. Well, hey, had a quick question. It's obviously very difficult when you have family that isn't really practicing the faith, and in particular when they have kids and don't baptize those kids. So I was just kind of curious, what are the best or some of the best arguments for trying to convince a family member like that to baptize their kids?
Very quick clarification question. What is their relationship to faith right now?
Kind of agnostic, kind of, I can be spiritual and pray, but I don't really need the church. And it's a little more complicated than that, but I'll just leave it there. Yeah.
Okay, so you've got deeper issues than the baptism thing. And I think that that probably is what needs to be worked on, to be honest with you. Because even if you convince them to baptize their children, if they're not serious about raising their kids in the faith, the church would actually say not to baptize your children if there's not a reasonable expectation of them being brought up in the Catholic faith. That we don't want to resolve the surface level issue of the fact that they're not wanting to baptize their children. We're wanting to get into the deeper spiritual issues for why they're not wanting to baptize their children. And it sounds like those deeper spiritual issues are the agnosticism, the sense that you can be spiritual but not religious. You don't really need the church. So I don't think what you need is going to be a list of verses showing the importance of baptism, although you can get those. And you can look at all the households and acts that get baptized, which would have included children in many cases as well. But I would suggest instead just focus on presenting who Jesus is, and then from there, present the fact that one of the missions of the Messiah is to come and gather all of the lost sheep together so there can be one flock and one shepherd, as Jesus says in John 10. And so this idea that our relationship with God should be renegade, individualistic, and just one-on-one, it fundamentally misunderstands who Jesus is as the good shepherd. Like, yes, there's the intimacy of the good shepherd carrying the sheep, but the sheep is also part of a flock. And the sheep that separates itself from the flock is called lost. So you don't want to become a lost sheep. Like, that is not a model of Christianity. That's pretty explicitly what we're told not to do. You don't want to be someone who cuts themselves off from the body of Christ. You want to be part of the kingdom. You want to be part of the body. You want to be part of the flock, because that's what Jesus comes and inaugurates. And it's in that we have this kind of communion, number one, with God, and number two, with our neighbor. So I would say hit those notes, and everything else can follow once those problems are sort of resolved. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps a lot. Thank you. It's a little tougher, but yeah, it definitely helps.
It is tougher. It is tougher. I wish it was just like, quote this verse, they'll baptize their babies, and then everything will be okay. But the reality is there's a deeper issue that it sounds like is going on there.
John, thank you very much for that call. Joe Heschmeyer, our guest. And if you are driving or listening without watching on video, you do probably want to see Joe's outfit for today. It's quite impressive. He dressed as De La Rosa Marzipan for this.
That reference, I'm not sure how many people are going to get that. I see now that De La Rosa Marzipan was dropped in the chat, and I didn't get it until just now. But yeah, that is a spot-on comparison.
Yeah, looking good, Joe. And thanks for doing it. Thanks for dressing up for the pledge drive. Listen, right now we've got a $20,000 dollar for dollar match. We are in the third hour of our 6 hours of pledge drive. We've got a long way to go, about $19,000 left of our $20,000 match that we started with. So the great time to pick up the phone and call 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000, or as Joe likes to say, go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com, or text the word Catholic to 24365. Hey, maybe you're like, I could make a $50 gift. I could do that. I could make a $50 gift. Well, tell you what, that $50 is going to be $100 to us because we got a $20,000 match right now. But I'd also like to send you this beautiful new book from Robert Grieving called The Apostolate of Courtesy: How to Save Souls and Change the World Through the Power of Manners. If you can make a $50 gift right now, that is yours. We will put it in the mail to you. Maybe you are someone who can make that $500 gift. I already told you $500 gifts are double matched. It'll be $1,500 to us by the time you hang up the phone, 888-291-8000. But we'll send you the Apostolate of Courtesy, and we'll also send you Evidence for Christ, How We Know That Jesus is the Messiah, the new book from Jimmy Akin. Again, we've got 12 lines open at the moment, 4 lines occupied, so perfect time to call 888-291-8000. Joe, you want to go to...
I'm so used to us getting to commercial right there. It took me a second to remember. Yeah.
You thought I was going to commercial.
We're not doing that right now.
You're the commercial, Joe.
I did. I'm the commercial.
Well, I'll do the commercial. Try De La Rosa marzipan candy. It's delicious. There, I just did it.
I really appreciate that. I couldn't have done that as well. I'll say this. Hey, guys, we are behind on reaching our hour goals. And I want the success of Catholic Answers, but selfishly, I also don't want to be the guy who underperforms in Radio Drive. So if you won't do it for the sake of Jesus and his church, if you won't do it for all the people we evangelize and reach, do it to spare the humiliation of watching me go down in flames on the radio for 2 hours straight. Hey, let's try that out. Let's see if that works.
The phones are ringing, Joe. We're down to 9 lines open. Apparently, people don't want you to be humiliated.
I do plenty of it on my own.
Well, you chose the shirt. 888-291-8000 is the number. 888-291-8000. Just 8 lines open now. Perfect time to call. I really do. I mean, Joe, as soon as folks heard you were on, we got every single line full. I really do want to do what we normally do. I would like you to be able to answer questions. And that's really what we're here to do. But we've got to raise the funds in order to be fully funded for the next 3 months. So I would ask folks, if you enjoy listening to the questions, now's a good time to call, get it out of the way, get it done. When you call in the middle of the pledge drive, which is what we're in right now, you really help us out tomorrow as well. You're doing double duty because you're leaving a phone line open for one of the people who are the people like me who leave everything to the last minute. I am one of those people. And if you could do it now and not be one of those people, you really help us tomorrow. 888-291-8000. All right, let's go down. Let's go over to South Bend, Indiana, where Sydney is listening on the Ave Maria Radio Network. We're very glad to have you, Sydney. Go ahead with your question.
Oh, hi, Joe. I asked a question about Seventh-day Adventists being very anti-Catholic, but may I tell you why specifically? Okay, so South Bend is quite a Catholic city, as you might imagine, but we are in the broadcast area of a beautiful classical musical station out of Andrews University, which is a Seventh-day Adventist university in southern Michigan. And I listen to them a lot. They're terrific on classical music. But the other day I heard a sermon on Saturday, their Sabbath, which was extremely anti-Catholic. I mean, the preacher actually said that the Catholic Church is based on the Roman Empire and the Pope is nothing more than the Roman Emperor. It's the same.
It's just a Constantine warmed over kind of idea.
Exactly. It's the Roman Empire is the template for the Catholic Church. Anyway, I've been in contact with them. I had a very difficult sort of saying to them as charitably as possible, oh, how can you constantly ask for donations to your radio station from Catholic listeners while you are at the same? They won't answer that question. I did get in contact with the pastor, and he's being very combative with me, saying, like, what's your problem? Like, can you scripturally prove to me that you're right and I'm wrong?
So do you want help with that?
Yes. Well, this part of me is like, why don't you guys have Joe Heschmeyer come to your campus?
Oh, do it. Joe, go visit the Seventh-day Adventist, Joe. But in lieu of that, let's give Sydney an answer to her question right now.
Okay, I'm going to do my best to keep it relatively succinct because I want to honor the fact that we're in the middle of Radio Drive. But here's the thing. Seventh-day Adventism was born out of a young woman by the name of Ellen Goldwhite is kind of the co-founder of Seventh-day Adventism. They were a group of people who thought Jesus was going to return in 1844, and then he didn't. And then they didn't know what to do next. And then they started listening to these visions that allegedly this young woman, Ellen, was having. And she, like, I don't think that she is intentionally listening to demons or anything. She'd had a serious head injury earlier on. I think she just had like authentic mental illness and probably was having delusions. I mean, there's this part of her history is actually pretty well documented. But she had all these claims that reflected the bigotry against Catholicism at the time. And so one of the things that she taught and that they teach, so they believe, by the way, she had the gift of prophecy. They don't usually call her a prophetess, but a lot of their religion is built around her as like some kind of revelator from God. And she's just wrong about all sorts of stuff. And very obviously wrong in a way that even Adventist scholars can't really defend her historical claims, where she's claiming to have visions of like the Pope and Constantine changing the day of Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday, and that this was to help bring pagans in because they were worshiping on Sunday. And like literally every part of this is false. Number one, Sunday is not the Sabbath, and Catholics don't claim that it is. Sunday is, though, the day of the Lord. And the day of the Lord was celebrated as the principal day of worship, and not just in the time of Constantine, but going all the way back to the first century. And we can see this in records that we actually have, like well before Constantine ever existed. You've got people like Justin Martyr talking about why it is Christians worship on Sunday instead of Saturday, and he's writing in the 100s. You've got St. Ignatius in 107, a disciple of the Apostle John, explaining that this is one of the differences between Christianity and Judaism. And then you have John himself referring to the day of the Lord in the book of Revelation. And then you have these references in Acts to the Christians being together on the first day of the week. So together, it's just this overwhelming case that Christians, as far back as we find, never appeared to have Saturday as their principal day of worship. Now, by all means, we'd be completely fine. If you want to worship on Saturday, that's great. You should worship God anywhere and everywhere. We're not going to tell you not to do that. But when you peddle this completely false history and say, oh, it all used to be Saturday and then it changed to Sunday in 325, it didn't. That's just not true. Also not true, the idea that pagans worshipped on Sunday. Pagans didn't even usually use the 7-day calendar we use today. If you're familiar with the phrase the Ides of March, the Romans had a completely different calendar that didn't have Sunday on it in any meaningful sense because it wasn't 7 days long for a week. It was 15 days long for a half month. So, the whole framework is just built on plenty of just blatantly false things. But because Adventists operate in this kind of high control environment where they don't usually expose themselves to outside knowledge, these falsehoods have been circulating for a couple hundred years, 150 years basically. And they just, like, the internet is slowly correcting this, but there are a lot of Adventists who genuinely believe this stuff is true. Like, you can find people saying crazy stuff about Constantine all the time. And my solution in those cases is just Google it. Just look it up. Like, try to find a document from the time period that actually shows the thing they're saying, or try to find some scholar, some actual person with the degree that has some expertise in the field who backs all of this up. Because if this was true, secular historians would talk about it. And it's not, and they don't. And in fact, they say the exact opposite, because all of this stuff is very obviously made up. And so this, like, the idea that Jesus is going to return very soon, that's the Adventism part, and that we're to worship only on Saturday, that's the seventh day part of Seventh-day Adventism, is like the twofold part of it. So they made a bunch of predictions about the end of the world. Those all were false. They made a bunch of claims about the history of the seventh day. Those all were false. And those are the things that are holding their religion together. So it's largely just a rejection of Catholicism as the bad guys in this largely fictional version of history. If you want more on this, because I know we have to move on, I have an episode I did a couple months ago on my channel Shameless Popery called Why Do Christians Worship on Sunday? And it explores the Adventist claims, letting them speak for themselves, and then shows, just comparing the Adventist claim with the historical record that shows that these claims are just very clearly not true.
Sydney, thank you for the call. As Joe said, we've got to go back to a little bit of fundraising for a minute here. The number is 888-291-8000 to call and make your pledge. This hour, we've got a $20,000 dollar for dollar match. And if we can meet that match, We're well on our way to funding Catholic Answers Live for the next 3 months. There's a second match this hour for any gift of $500 one time or more. That will be double matched. And there's a third match. Any new pledge of $20 or more per month, on a monthly pledge, that will also be matched. So there's lots of ways to get these matches. One, just make your pledge, 888-291-8000, and everything is matched dollar for dollar. Two, if you can give $500 or more one time, it will be double matched. Three, if you can start a new monthly pledge of $20 or more, that will also be double matched. We're going to take a couple minutes break. Perfect time to call 888-291-8000. Safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Will you do us a favor right now? Clear your mind of all other thoughts and reflect for just a moment on how Catholic Answers Live has made a difference in your life. Has our broadcast made your afternoon commute more meaningful? Perhaps you've learned how to explain the faith to family or friends in a more vibrant, convincing way. Something you heard here may have been just the thing you needed to look into joining or returning to the Catholic faith. All of these are serious reasons to be thankful, first and foremost to God, but also to all who have financially made it possible for us to air the show each day. Believe me, our gratitude could not be deeper. And we're coming to you today during our quarterly membership drive, asking you to join the ranks of the great people whose gifts and sacrifices have helped to turn around countless lives over the years, and, very possibly, helped make an eternal difference for many of them. Think about that for a moment. That's what your prayers and donations to Catholic Answers Live are doing. What a tremendous opportunity is being presented to you right now. Please don't let it pass you by. Call 888-291-8000 or visit CatholicAnswersRadio.com and let one of our fast, friendly customer service team members take your pledge. Large or small, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you call right now. Again, it's 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. We're offering some great appreciation gifts that are sure to deepen your faith life even more. But what's best is you'll have the confidence that when you turn your radio on tomorrow or next week or 12 days from now, we'll be here, boldly and charitably presenting the truth to a world that's searching for precisely that. Your pledge is vital to keeping Catholic Answers Live on the air. Will you make the call today to 888-291-8000 or donate securely online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com? Thank you so much in advance. God bless you.
Welcome back, Catholic Answers Live. I am Cy Kellett, your host. We are in the second day of 3 days of raising funds. While we continue to do the regular show, $15,000 left of matching funds this hour. 888-291-8000 is the number to call to take advantage of those matching funds. Double matched if you can make a pledge of $500 or more one time. Also double matched if you can start a new monthly pledge of $20 or more. Here in studio with me, Chris Check, president of Catholic Answers. Hey, Chris, how's it going out
Cy,
there?
thanks for having me into your studio.
Oh, well, I'm very happy to have you in my
I really
studio.
dig this. I don't know who's watching on YouTube. Everybody should be watching on YouTube because they can see the really sweet shirt that Joe Heschmeyer is wearing.
It's making me hungry for marzipan.
Yes. Yeah, now everybody who's listening is going to look up marzipan.
Yeah.
Cy,
I want to just share something real quick, if I may, from the chat. People are saying Cy's not drinking his big gulp because the CEO is here. And I just want to expose that rumor and scandal to everyone that there's Big Gulp Gate is resolved. All right, there we go.
Cy, yeah, is that a Diet Coke?
I don't want to discuss what's in it, but
Yeah.
some part of it might be made up of
My
Diet Coke.
friends, there are 11 lines open right now while my friends Joe Heschmeyer and Cy Kellett talk about big gulps. I'm here to tell you that it's time to support Catholic Answers Live. The phone number is 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000. There's 11 lines open. Only 4 people are talking on the phones right now. And every gift that you make above $500 is going to be doubled. So here's what I would like. If you're capable of making a gift of $2,500 or $5,000, that's $5,000 or $10,000 to us. That's how it comes back to us. That's the actual math. How'd my math do there?
That was good.
Yep.
I liked it.
And here's what it is, folks. I know Cy explained this, but I'm going to repeat it. This is a real match. We don't get the money from the donors who generously put this money up until we meet it. So we rounded up the money. We got many generous donors to help build this pool for us. But now it's up to you, and there are 12 lines open right now, 888-291-8000. Now it is up to you to bring your loaves and fishes to the
meal? Shall we say? To the party? I don't know where we're
Golly,
going.
that's pretty bad. I was at a loss for words. Yeah, to the party.
Okay.
That
precisely.
plane didn't quite land, but yes, bring the loaves and fish, the miracle of sharing.
And we will,
Joe Henschmeyer.
no, it's going to get multiplied by our generous donors. It's going to get doubled. Now, that's
Right.
not quite as an impressive multiplication as Jesus worked. That was, in fact, a miracle. But nonetheless, it's going to get doubled. So 13 lines open, 888-291-8000. Cy, here's the thing. I have questions for our listeners.
Okay.
I know they're supposed to ask the questions. I have questions. Do you want, this is listeners, I'm asking you.
Yes.
Do you want to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ and bring people to his love and mercy and the grace of his sacraments and the fullness of his truth? Do you want this?
Yes, we do.
Okay, well,
I'm playing the part of the.
well,
of the
I'm hoping that everyone listening does desire this. If you don't desire it, then we got to go back. But I'm assuming everybody desires this. So if the answer to that is yes, 888-291-8000, 13 lines open. If the answer to that question is yes, then here's what I need you to do. What I'm going to ask you right now doesn't have to do with giving money to Catholic Answers. We'll come to that. 14 lines open. I need you to get in the habit every day of talking to people in your family, where you work, with strangers about Jesus Christ. This is something you need to start doing. 888-291-8000. Cy Kellett has a magnificent book to tell you how to do this, and Jimmy Akin has a brand new book, which if you donate, called Evidence for Christ, which is going to help you do this. Now, I'm assuming that you want to do this and that you're prepared to start talking to people about Jesus Christ. But this is my question. What if you could reach millions of people with the fullness of the truth, with the love and mercy of Jesus Christ, with the grace of his sacraments? What if you could do that? What if you could help that cause by making a financial gift? 888-291-8000. You can, in fact, do this by supporting Catholic Answers Live, because Catholic Answers, through our radio program, through our social media, through our great podcasts with Joe and Trent and Jimmy and Carlo, through Catholic.com, we reach millions of people. We reach millions of people with the gospel. 888-291-8000. So it's very efficient, my friends. You write a check for $1,000, and you are going to be certain that you are going to reach many, many, many more people with the fullness of the truth. 888-291-8000.
I apologize, Chris. 888-291-8000. Time to pick up that phone and call. We still have about $15,000 of our match money. We can do this. Well, you can do it. I mean, you can help us get there, because we've always counted on your generosity, and you have time and time again come in to help. But it really is the case that this show does not go on without folks supporting it, and your support is needed right now to help us use up $15,000 more dollars of match money at 888-291-8000.
If I said to you, listener, dear listener, if you could write a check, and I do this every time we do a drive, if you could write a check for $500 and know that as a consequence of your gift, as an effect of your gift, someone, maybe many people, would come into the Catholic Church, would you write that check? Of course you would. The answer to that is yes. Well, we can assure you that people come into the Catholic Church because of the work of Cy Kellett, Joe Henschmeyer, Jimmy Akin, Carlo, Trent, all the magnificent people on the other side of this glass who make this show run so smoothly and with such skillful production skills, talents. The great Luke Bender, who manipulates all those YouTube algorithms
to get us out there.
It's incredible what he does. And
if you want to donate without missing a second of the show, you can literally continue to listen while texting the word Catholic to 24365. That's 24365, like 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
or by
We
going to
don't do anything
Catholic
on Leap Day.
or by going to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. There are 10 lines open. Let's get that down to, what do you think, Si? 5? Should we
let's get it to single numbers. And yeah, 5. But there's no reason why we couldn't do that. I think sometimes folks are, especially in the middle day of are waiting for the last day of the drive. But we have these wonderful matches now. It's a perfect time, and we're really trying to encourage you to call now, 888-291-8000. Maybe you can make that one-time $500 gift and get it tripled right now. Maybe you're in a position where you could start that $20 a month pledge, maybe a $50 a month pledge, whatever works. It's going to be tripled right now because of the double matching, 888-291-8000. I feel like we should take a call, and then we'll come back and let people know whether those phones started ringing.
Okay.
All right, let's go to Javier in South Carolina. Javier, thank you for waiting. Go ahead with your question for Joe Heschmeyer.
Hey guys, am I online? Am I live?
You are on air with Joe Heschmeyer. Yeah, go ahead, Javier.
Oh, okay. First off, thank you guys. You guys are awesome. I know I hear people saying this all the time, but being live and being able to say these, at least over the lines, it's really good.
Could you call every day, Javier? We'd appreciate it. You really haven't been calling enough, Javier.
I call multiple times.
Okay, all right.
Sorry?
Just call every day. That's all I need, Javier. Thank you.
It's very encouraging, Javier.
Okay, so my question is, how do we know if a person has the Holy Spirit? My wife asked me this, in fact, about you, Joe. I was defending or trying to share your debate with Doug Wilson, and she asked me, well, but does he have the Holy Spirit? And I was like, I didn't know how to answer, honestly. I stuttered, and I was like, how do I answer that one?
Wonderful. Thank you, Javier.
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's two things. One, there's actually a limit to how well you can know the interior of another person's heart, because you have people who have a good outward appearance, but inside they're whitewashed tombs or they're wolves in sheep's clothing. And so, I'm happy to tell you I don't think I'm that, but I bet if I was, I would tell you that too. So take it for what it's worth. One way, in John 21, when Peter wants to know what's going to happen to John, Jesus basically tells him to mind his own business. He says, "What is that to you? As for you, follow me." And so we are told how to know if we've got the Holy Spirit by looking at certain things in our own lives. And some of these are going to be things that you might see them in somebody else's life, but these are things that are much easier to see in your own life if you're being honest and if you are having a Spirit-led examination of conscience. So St. Paul gives us two lists in Galatians chapter 5. He says, "But if you're led by the Spirit, you're not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are plain: immorality, impurity, licentiousness, idolatry, sorcery, enmity, strife, jealousy, anger, selfishness, dissension, party spirit, envy, drunkenness, carousing, and the like." So if you look at your life, if you look at your heart, and you're like, wow, I've given my heart over to all of these things that I've been told in Scripture are contrary to the Spirit, contrary to what God is trying to lead me to. These are clearly works of the flesh. St. Paul says, "I warn you, as I warned you before, that those who do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God." But then he gives a positive list as well. He says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. And those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires." So if you can look at your heart and say, yeah, these are the things that are growing in my heart, that is a good sign that you've got good seed planted there. That the old ways, the sins you used to engage in are no longer the ones that kind of weeds have not taken root in your heart anymore. And instead there's good fruit growing up. We bought a house in November and we have a garden. The prior owners, the husband was a great gardener. And so there's a bunch of stuff planted on the side of the house, and I don't know what it is yet. And I'm just finding out as everything grows. And in a similar way, there are times where in the early stages of a thing, you may not know if something is good or bad, but you wait and see what the fruit is. Is this something that is making me more like what St. Paul said I ought to look like in terms of the fruit of the Spirit? Is this something that's drawing me away from it? Those are the kind of things to look for. There is, unfortunately, no infallible way to just look around and know where in the garden are weeds and where in the garden are wheat. And we're warned that explicitly in Matthew 13 by Jesus, because our temptation is to try to weed the garden, to get rid of all the bad weeds. And Jesus says, if you try to do that, you may uproot some of the wheat as well. So we follow the truth, and we hope the people presenting the truth are saints. But we don't know that for sure, and we don't actually need to know that for sure. So to the heart of your wife's question, the reason I would tell you to listen to the points I'm making in the debate aren't because I think I'm holier than Doug Wilson and therefore you should follow me. No, that's not it at all. I don't know the state of his soul. I barely know the state of my own. And the human heart is deceptive above all things. I could be in, some kind of delusion about myself. Rather, I would say these things are clearly and objectively true, and we should listen to them whether the person proclaiming them is worth a hill of beans or not.
Javier, I'm going to say thank you for that, and we will. We have to take a very quick break. I do want to let you know we're moving right along. And I'll share with you a couple very lovely gifts that have helped us. But $7,500 left in match money this hour, so we can do it. We can make the match. $7,500 left to go. 888-291-8000.
Hang on, we'll be right back with more Catholic Answers Live.
The Catechism defines evangelization as the proclamation of Christ and His gospel by word and the testimony of life. But what does that look like in real life? It looks like St. Paul street evangelists out in the public square sharing the good news. We're a Catholic nonprofit that starts conversations by handing out free sacramentals. Then we employ our method of listen, befriend, proclaim, and invite. Catholic Answers is supported in part by St. Paul Street Evangelization. Visit streetevangelization.com to learn more.
Welcome back, Catholic Answers Live. We are in the third hour of 6 hours of pledge drives. Hey, I haven't been saying this enough. If you'd like to participate in the pledge drive, if you'd like to take a part in the matches that we have, $20,000 match, any pledge is matched up to $20,000. There's $7,500 of that left for this hour. You can just text the word Catholic to 24365. Text Catholic to 24365. You can take part in the other two matches. If you can make a one-time gift of $500 or more, your pledge is tripled this hour. Or if you can start a new monthly pledge of $20 a month or more, your pledge is tripled. Just text the word Catholic to 24365. You two probably noticed, Chris Check and Joe Heschmeyer, that we went from needing $15,000 to needing $7,500. So folks were very, very generous with us while Joe was talking to Javier.
That's beautiful. We cut that in half. If we keep doing that, we'll reach our goal. We will never reach our goal, but we'll get really close to it.
We'll never.
There are 12 lines open right now, so it's a great time to call 888-291-8000. I want to go back to Javier's question as it relates especially to the work of Catholic Answers. And I'm not going to cite any scripture or church documents in responding to what Javier said. I do think that it is, well, I may cite a scripture. I do think that it is possible over time to develop a sense of someone's heart. I understand, as Joe said, a sense, not a complete picture.
Right.
I understand, as Joe said,
right.
The heart is tangled, and that's in Jeremiah. So there, I cited some scripture. 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000, 12 lines open. But one thing that is evident about this radio program and the work of Catholic Answers more broadly, in fact, all of it, is that it is done, our evangelization and apologetics work is done with gentleness and compassion. And so there's another scripture I cited. 888-291-8000. And that, I know for a fact, draws people, not to us, though to us, but not for the sake of ourselves, but to Jesus Christ. And we're happy to be conduits of the Holy Spirit in that regard. So our voice, the Catholic Answers voice, is trusted, it's accurate, it's entertaining sometimes, but it is gentle and it is compassionate as well. And that is, as the Romans say or said, nobody gives what he doesn't have. So
yes,
on the question of, how much of the Holy Spirit is working inside Joe, it's evident to me that a good bit is, and it comes out not just in the quality of his answers, but in the absolute sense that anyone gets, and it's the same with you, Cy, the love that comes out of the both of you for everyone who calls this program and everyone with whom we come in contact in the work of Catholic Answers. There are 8 lines open, my friends. Let's get it to 5. 888-291-8000. And this love, I'm not saying there are not other apostolates that do not operate with love. Many, many do. But it is a hallmark of the work of Catholic Answers, and it is especially 6 lines open, 888-291-8000. It is especially critical in this age where the modern media, the online world, the so-called social media, all these things, 5 lines open. Let's get to 0, 888-291-8000.
That's exciting.
Where so much of the social media, where so much of the modern media is not characterized by love, by compassion, by gentleness, but by things that are opposed to these things, anger and vitriol and vanity. But those things do not color the work of Catholic Answers. On the contrary. And so we do, this is something that we work at, and we keep one another in check in this regard, by the way. 888-291-8000. So my friends.
Can I add to that?
Go right ahead.
It bears really good fruit. I was just at a conference at Benedictine today, Benedictine University, not just in Kansas, and I met 2 men who had driven in from Covington, Kentucky. They were both Protestant converts to Catholicism. They actually met each other at Bible College in Oregon. And one of them very graciously gave, I know, and there's a lot there. I'm not going to name their names because I don't know, but one of them actually gave me 2 very nice bottles of scotch as a thank you for the work that I'd done through Catholic Answers. And it wasn't just that he was receiving it. He was sharing it with his friends. Yeah. And so he, I believe, was the sponsor for this other young man. And the 2 of them, are now part of this faithful Catholic little enclave within Covington, Kentucky. And they're passionate enough about this that they drove a pretty long way from Kentucky to Atchison, Kansas. And it was just so beautiful and inspiring to see, yes, lives really are changed and transformed. And so the work that we're doing here and the work that you're supporting when you donate, it really does make a difference.
888-291-8000. I'll tell you what, we're down to 6,000 to raise this hour. I am going to let you take another call, Joe. I want to give a few thank yous. I just want to say this because I have not gotten to this, but Michelle from North Carolina, before we even went on the air today, she donated $3,000. And she says she raised her kids on Catholic Answers Live, and all 4 are faithful Catholic adults today.
Glory to God.
Michelle, that's first of all, thank you for the gift, but thank you for the encouragement as well. That means so much.
Thank God for the grace.
I also want to thank Judy from Nevada, who just called in the last few minutes, and $5,000. That's a big part of why we're going to be able to make our match this hour. Judy, God bless you. Thank you so much for that. I just want to get those 2 in. 2 extremely generous gifts and really important, helpful. Thank you so much. 888-291-8000.
I was going to say, Cy, those of you who are listening who cannot make a gift of that size, you still need to call and give whatever it is that you're able to do. That is going to be doubled by our generous donors, and it's going to be multiplied by God in ways that none of us sitting in this room right now know. Amen. You're going to meet people on the other side of the veil, 888-291-8000, and they are going to thank you for your support of Catholic Answers. That's going to happen. You're going to have that experience when you get to heaven and you're united with God. And people will say, thank you for supporting that magnificent ministry. Because of them, I came back to the Catholic Church. Because of them, I came into the Catholic Church. Because of them, I was an atheist, and now I'm in the seminary, or whatever it was.
And we hear that.
Yep.
Joe, I'm going to go to the phones and let you answer a question. If you will agree to be somewhat circumspect so that we can let people know where we are at the top of the hour. Vivian in Harrisonburg, Virginia, listening on EWTN.com. Vivian, go ahead with your question.
Yes, I have a question about the Mass.
Okay.
But as far as the Holy Spirit goes, the Holy Spirit is God's Spirit. Jesus says God is love. So the Holy Spirit is love,
Amen.
altruistic love. And so my question
Yep.
is, I think it would be better to change the name Mass to something more effective and true, which would probably draw people into the church. And that is to call it the Christian remembrance of God's love. Now, Jesus asked us to remember him by, the sharing of the bread. But it's essentially all about what Jesus went through out of love for us.
Vivian.
That brings you to your knees. And
it does indeed. Vivian, I'm going to let Joe respond because it's
Vivian,
we've got the suggestion. Thank you.
You might benefit from reading the Catechism in paragraph 1328 all the way to 1332, because it actually gives us 11 different names for the Mass. And the Mass is the most famous one, of course, because it's a liturgy in which the mystery of salvation is accomplished, which concludes with the sending forth, the dismissal, the missio of the faithful, so they may fulfill God's will in their daily life. So the Mass comes from this word about how we're being sent on mission. That's one name for it. Another is the Eucharist. It's from Thanksgiving, because this is, the Eucharist is an act of thanksgiving to God. It's also called the Lord's Supper. It's called the breaking of the bread. It's called the Synaxis, or Eucharistic Assembly, because we gather together. It is called the Memorial, so very similar in that way to what you're asking for. It's called the Holy Sacrifice. It is called the Holy and Divine Liturgy. This is particularly in the East. It is sometimes referred to as the Sacred Mysteries. It is sometimes called the Most Blessed Sacrament, both the host but also the whole Eucharistic liturgy is sometimes called the Most Blessed Sacrament. And then finally, it's called Holy Communion. So if you want to know why we use those different names, then you can find an explanation, at least a brief explanation for each of those within the Catechism in those paragraphs. So I hope that is good spiritual food for thought, if you'll pardon the pun.
What a wonderful call, too, and thank you. And it's beautiful to start your call with praise for the Holy Spirit, and you're always welcome here. I do want to let people know we're under $2,000 to go for this hour. So,
and we got about 2 minutes to go.
And we got 2 minutes, $1,000 a minute, and we will be fully funded for this hour, and we'll be halfway through the pledge drive. We'll make our match for the whole first half of the pledge drive if we can get $2,000 in the next couple minutes. 888-291-8000.
Or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com or text Catholic to 24365. We have 9 lines open, my friend. If in these last couple of minutes we can get that down to 5 lines open, or 4 or 3, now's the time to make your call and join the show at the beginning of the next hour, 888-291-8000. We are ticking down away at these numbers, but we've got about a little less than $2,000 to go.
And when we go to the break, we'll continue to take calls, of course. 8 lines open right now, 888-291-8000. But I'll come back and let you know how we did. We've got Joe for another hour. We've got lots of callers on. We're going to continue to take calls. Joe, we do have you for another hour, right? You don't have to go out and sell
marzipan. As far as I know,
anymore.
unless something happens to me.
There's another surprise guest in the second hour, too.
Really?
Yes.
Surprise guest coming up, second hour.
888-291-8000, 888-291-8000, CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
We can do this. I can feel it. We can do this. Again, we've got match money. We started with $20,000. It says to me, it says on my screen right now, $1,897 of match money left. Use that up, please. 888-291-8000. But anyways, there's 2 other matches. Any gift of $500 is matched the second time. Any new pledge of $20 a month or more is also matched the second time. 888 291-8000. Joe, where else can they go?
They can go safe and secure by texting Catholic to 24365, 24365.
I love the safe and secure part. You can also go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Oh, just 7 lines open. Let's fill them up. 888-291-8000. Welcome back. Catholic Answers Live. I'm Cy Kellett, your host. Joe Heschmeyer is our guest. It's Ask Me Anything, and every single phone line is full. So we've got lots of questions, and they've been screened, so I know they're great questions coming up this hour. We're going to have a lot of fun with Joe Heschmeyer. Joe, of course, apologist here at Catholic Answers, also the podcaster behind Shameless Popery, which is just killing out there. People love Shameless Popery and what the work that Joe does. So hang on for a very, very, very fine hour. Now, we will do a little bit of fundraising this hour because we are in the 4th hour of our 6 hours that we do each quarter of Pledge Drive. And what we do is we ask you to support us for the coming 3 months. And it's always worked for the last 30 years. It has always worked. People have been so generous to us. I got to say, in the last few minutes, I have seen really extraordinary generosity. So we are going to reset and do all of that. But let's just celebrate for a minute. We had a $20,000 match last hour. And Joe, we blew right past that in the last few minutes of
it was a buzzer beater, but it happened. And so I'm very happy about that. Hey, I know we are raising money right now, but I also know we exist for the salvation of souls and that this is a spiritual apostolate. So I want to, if everyone could just take a moment, someone on the YouTube chat said, I can't donate today, but if I can, I'd like to ask for an Our Father to be prayed for myself and my family. Things are challenging right now and we can use all the help we can get. So please, if you could donate an Our Father to that person, I don't even know their name, that would be tremendously helpful. And then once you do that, you can write us all the checks you would like.
Yes, an Our Father and a check will be your sacrifice for today. A lot of times, folks do ask for prayers here. We're always delighted. We take that very, very seriously. And Joe, it is one of the cool things about working here is the listeners take it seriously. Like in a minute, if someone asks for prayers, you'll see a bunch of people posting, I prayed for you, I'm praying for you, I'm all that kind of stuff. So it is really very beautiful. Let me reset.
This is tremendous. You know, I shared that somebody gave me scotch and I was very touched by this gift. I don't mean touched in the sense that it affected my ability to function. But it
affected your wardrobe choices, clearly. Look at what you're wearing today, man.
But
how much scotch did the guy give you?
Good. But the spiritual good, this is the difference between us. The spiritual good of people praying for us, it really makes a tremendous difference. And I know we're at the tip of the iceberg. You know, we have people who say, we're praying for you, we're praying for your intentions, and it means a lot. And even more people are praying for us and never tell us. And it's great. You guys make this apostolate run through your prayers and through your financial support. And so today, we're asking for your financial support, but we ask every day for your prayers.
Okay, let me tell you where we are. Each hour we have had a $20,000 match, and that is the case this hour. The deal is if we can reach that $20,000 match, first of all, we get the whole $20,000. So this is what happens. A donor says, I will be the person who will make the match to you, and I'll give you whatever you raise up to $20,000. So we raised $17,000 this hour. We're going to get a check from this donor for $17,000. We raised $1,000. We're going to get a check for $1,000. We want to use up the whole $20,000 because the other thing that happens, in addition to the match, we figured out that if we meet the match each hour, we're in good shape for the next 3 months, and that's where we would like to be. I would like you to think about this. All told, if you add it all up, something like between $200,000 and $250,000 every 3 months to produce scores and scores and scores of shows with some of the best Catholic apologists in the world and other people as well. You know, we'll have people from healing ministries on. We'll have people from schools on. You know,
I was so relieved you didn't say the best apologists in the world and other people like Joe. So I was waiting.
You just assumed I was going that way.
I thought you were going to go low and you went high. You keep me guessing.
That did seem like the direction I would go, but no. All that content is so much cheaper than a half hour of what it costs them to produce a half hour of CNN. Or it's way, way, way cheap. It was a fraction of what it costs to produce a sitcom for a half hour. And we're producing dozens and dozens and scores of hours of top-notch Catholic media. So here's the deal. We just need your support for the next 3 months. We have a $20,000 dollar-for-dollar match. Everyone who calls, matched up to $20,000. 888-291-8000. 16 of our colleagues are waiting to take your calls. 14 of them are available right now. 888-291-8000. If you are able to make a $500 one-time gift, a $500 one-time gift or more, we have a donor who will match your gift a second time. So that's an extra special bonus to us. So your $500 becomes $1,500 to us because of the two match. Also, if you are a person who says, I can do a monthly pledge, and you can do a monthly pledge of $20 or more, we have another donor who will match the full year of monthly pledges for you another time. So you are tripling your money. So the opportunity, if you can make a $500 one-time gift or a $20 a month monthly pledge to have your money tripled right now, extraordinary, and lots of lines open. 888-291-8000. I don't want to spend any more time fundraising. I want to let Joe answer questions. I would ask you, please, while Joe is answering questions, to just pick up the phone and call 888-291-8000. Of course, you can also go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com or just text the word Catholic to 24365 and it all goes to the same place. 888-291-8000. Off to Kentucky we go. Isaac is in Kentucky listening on our website, Catholic.com. Hi, Isaac. You got a question for Joe?
Yes, I do. Mr. Heschmeyer, I read your book, The Eucharist is Really Jesus, a few months ago. I got it for free from the Catholic Answers donation, and I really enjoyed it. It was a very helpful book, so thank you for that.
I'm happy to hear that.
So my question relates to the nature of the gift of tongues, particularly in the early church. So I hope this isn't too loaded, but I grew up in a very Pentecostal household, right? A very Pentecostal church, and the speaking in tongues receives a lot of emphasis there, right? And the best way I could describe it for those who did not grow up in this environment is it's very sporadic and spur of the moment. You know, if the Holy Spirit, leads the church in a certain way, you get up to the altar, if you feel it, it wells up within you, and then it just comes out, and it sounds like gibberish to other people, but it's an authentic encounter, right? So the Catholic perspective of tongues is, weirdly enough, something I've not done a lot of digging into, but it seems to be much more ordered. Like, I've heard Catholics and Orthodox say this, that the whole point of tongues is it's just supposed to be the ability to speak in another language, and it's not this really big emotional thing. But I just finished the book of Acts for a devotion, and the way the gift of tongues is portrayed seemed to me, when I was reading it, to be very charismatic. It's like the apostles receive the gift. They just do it out of nowhere. Cornelius, when he converts, he just starts speaking in tongues randomly. The people around them think they're crazy, and it doesn't seem ordered or structured like I've seen other traditional Christians say. It seems to be a very charismatic, spur-of-the-moment thing. So I guess my question is not only what is the Catholic perspective on tongues, but whenever that occurs in the very, very early church, like the very beginning of the church, what does that look like? What is happening there when the book of Acts says that they began to speak in tongues? Like,
Beautiful.
What does that look like?
Yes. So this is an area where Catholics agree on one part, and there's disagreement amongst Catholics on another part. So the distinction is sometimes between what's called xenolalia and glossolalia. You don't need to know that part. Basically, what we see very clearly the gift of tongues in the sense of Pentecost, where the apostles have the ability to speak in other people's native language. And in the history of the church, there are times where the Holy Spirit inspires particular people with this gift. It said St. Francis Xavier was able to do this. He could go to a new country and begin preaching the gospel to them immediately. The more controverted issue is the notion of tongues, sometimes called the tongues of angels, based on St. Paul's descriptions in 1 Corinthians, where it appears to be a private prayer language. And one of the indications this might be the case, and I lean towards there being two different gifts, both called tongues, is that in that case, Paul talks explicitly about needing a gift of interpretation. You don't need a gift of interpretation in Acts 2 at Pentecost, because the whole point is they're able to speak to you in your native language. So you wouldn't need an interpreter, whereas whatever's happening in Corinth, you do need an interpreter. So there is a dispute about kind of the types, whether there's two types of tongues or just one. Everyone agrees that the Pentecost type of tongues definitely exists. There's a lot of disagreement about the nature and scope of tongues as a private prayer language, partly because it does seem that many of the purported cases might not be authentic, and also because people are striving for those spiritual gifts in a way that is not a healthy Christian attitude towards it. If you read 1 Corinthians, a lot of what St. Paul is telling them is not like, hey, make sure you're spending all of your time focused on getting the gift of tongues. No, he's very clearly telling them strive after the gift of charity. Like, this is a gift you should be striving for. But he situates these charismatic gifts in their proper context, which is, as you said, for the building up of the church. The Catechism in paragraph 2003 says grace is first and foremost the gift of the Spirit who justifies and sanctifies us. But grace also includes the gifts that the Spirit grants to us to associate us with his work, to enable us to collaborate in the salvation of others and in the growth of the body of Christ, the church. So that's just a broad level. Every gift the Holy Spirit gives you, natural, supernatural, etc., is meant to be not just for your own private enjoyment, but for the building up of the body. Since this is Radio Drive, I'd be remiss if I didn't point that out as being pretty relevant. If God has given you blessings where you are materially prosperous, that is not meant just for you. That is meant for the building up of the body of Christ. Just as our ability to communicate effectively is meant not just for us, but for the building up of the body of Christ, which is why we work at Catholic Answers instead of, just working for ourselves. And so then the Catechism is going to break down the different types of ways that the Holy Spirit gives us gifts. There are sacramental graces, gifts proper to the different sacraments. There are furthermore special graces, also called charisms, after the Greek term used by St. Paul, which means favor, gratuitous gift, or benefit. Now then it says this: whatever their character, sometimes it's extraordinary, such as the gift of miracles or of tongues. Charisms are oriented towards sanctifying grace and are intended for the common good of the church. They are at the service of charity, which builds up the church. So if people are trying to tap into some gift that they have from God in a way that doesn't build up the church but tears it down, then they are misusing a gift that they were given by God, and that is wrong. In the same way that if God has given you the gift of eloquence and you use it to tear down the church rather than building it up, yeah, you were given a gift by God, but you used it badly. So maybe you do have the gift of tongues, but if you're using it in a way that's destructive, that's not good. Like, you're actually using it in a bad way. As St. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 12:7, to each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. Whatever gifts you've been given by God, those are for the building up of the church, not just for your own private enjoyment. As he says later when he talks about in Ephesians 4, gifts within the church in terms of kind of roles, he says, and his gifts were that some should be apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers, for the equipment of the saints, for the work of ministry, for building up the body of Christ. So as you consider the gifts God has given you today, I would encourage you to consider, how am I using that for the equipment of the saints, for the work of ministry, and for building up the body of Christ? And if you want an easy, safe, and secure way to do that, I think Cy can tell you a couple ways.
First of all, thank you very much for the call. Hey, I can tell you a couple ways, but here's the deal. We've started off slow. We did a little bit at the first hour as well, but I want to remind people where we are. We are in the fourth hour of 6 hours of Pledge Drive. It's the only time we come to you and ask you to financially support this program so we can continue for the next 3 months. Each quarter, we do 6 hours. And as you just heard, Joe taking his time, having a good conversation with people. We're happy to answer questions. We don't want to use the whole hour for fundraising, but we are fundraising this hour. And right now, 16 of our colleagues are sitting by their phones. Only one of them is on the phone. So here's how you can help. You can dial 888-291-8000. Would you please dial 888-291-8000? We've got $17,500 left in our matching funds. So we've got a long way to go. Could you use up some of those matching funds? Could you make a $10 gift, a $50 gift, a $100 gift? If you can make a $500 gift or more, we have a donor who will double match your gift. So just call 888-291-8000 and do that. But every gift is being matched right now. Or maybe you could start a new monthly pledge. If you can start a monthly pledge, $20 or more, your money is tripled too, because there's a second match on that as well. Whichever way you want to do it, 888-291-8000, or as I learned to say from Joe Heschmeyer, safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I did good, didn't I? I learned. Yeah. I can learn from you. I can learn. There's 3 calls on now. 12 lines open. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000. We are very grateful to those who value what we do here. We do think we give bang for the buck. One of the things Chris Check said yesterday, and Joe, I think you know this, is we're a complete open book. You can look at the books. We've had people call and say, "I'll make a gift. I'd like to see where the money goes." We're an open book. We're doing everything we can with each dollar to reach as many people as we can possibly reach. I'm going to tell you something, Joe. I just looked while you were on that last call. I looked at our donor list for the last hour. One call from the Philippines, one call from Australia, one call from Scotland, from Scottish borders. Is that a province?
It's because I mentioned Scotch. That's why.
Is that what somebody woke up and went, "I'll call"? Yes. So we got a call from Scotland. Thank you so much. So
it's you said woke. It's like midnight there. They're just like, all right, time to get up for the day.
It is midnight there. That's what I'm saying. They were sleeping. They heard you say Scotch. They called him it. That was my scenario. 4 lines open right now. 888-291-8000. A long way to go to use up.
Hey, speaking of open books, if you give $50, you can get the book, The Apostolate of Courtesy. And if you give $500, you can get Jimmy Akin's book, Evidence for Christ, How We Know That Jesus is the Messiah. And so if you want to open some books besides just our financial records, you can do that and grow in your knowledge of Jesus Christ and how to explain the resurrection to your friends and the fact that Jesus is the Messiah. It's a good time of year to do that.
Just one addition. We'll give you both books at $500. You get $500. We're going to send you both books. So
you want things matched and doubled. You got 2 books now. What more do we need to do for you?
I'll tell you what, Joe. I like to reward when people call, and when we just asked people to call, they filled up the lines. There's just 3 lines open right now. So I'm going to let you go back to doing what you like doing.
Wonderful. Let's do it.
All right. 888-291-8000 is the number if you want to fill up one of those last 3 lines and get the match. 888-291-8000. But let us go to Nashville, Tennessee, where Joseph is watching on YouTube. Joseph, thank you for waiting. Go ahead with your question.
I think this might have been a little further south than Nashville.
I don't know what just happened. That was exciting. I was excited, but I have a feeling we might have lost Joseph from Nashville because that.
I think the world may have lost him. I'm worried for him.
That sounded like we were possibly heading into a James Bond movie, and that was the villain setting the whole thing up. So I can tell you right now, I'm not going back to line 2 the rest of the day. Line 2 is dead to me for the rest of the day. Don't still point at me like I'm going to line 2. I'm not going to. It's Suzanne in Virginia, listening on Catholic.com. Go ahead with your question. No, I'm scared of line 2. I'm not going back to it. Suzanne, you got a question?
Yes. Hi. Thank you.
Yeah.
First of all,
thank you for having a normal voice.
I love watching. Thank you.
Not being scary.
I love watching any debate you do, Joe. Mr. Hedgehound.
Well, thank you very much.
All right. My question is, I think it was an interview after a debate, or maybe it was your podcast, actually. And talked about how the Apologetic against Mormonism, which articulates the fact that he was a polygamist like discredits his prophetic, like the fact that he's a prophet. My goodness. It's related to that. The question is, since Jesus came in the New Testament and reestablished the original intention of marriage being between one man and one woman, is it not still? Could it not now be useful to point to? Okay, after the reestablishment of the original intention for marriage, it is wrong now to practice polygamy, and I guess it just seems so icky. So to me, it feels like an apologetic, but I guess it might not be.
I think you're right to see, okay, because there's kind of levels to this and ways of presenting the argument that are more or less persuasive. One of them is just the argument from moral intuition that you've made. There's something that feels really gross about polygamy, and so you can look at that and say, okay, this is a red flag. Now, I think an LDS person would push back and say, well, there's plenty of that in the Old Testament, which is true, but that's not to say God wanted there to be that in the Old Testament. God permitted a lot of wickedness because of the hardness of the people's hearts. He permits a lot of wickedness today, but that doesn't mean he actively desires those bad things. So even the good guys in the Old Testament regularly do things that aren't great. And so the fact that somebody who overall may be a good character does some bad things is not an endorsement. And so you can get into the moral intuition argument, and frankly, when you look at something like the spiritual life of the founder, Joseph Smith, then I think it's perfectly legitimate to say this is not good fruit. Like the test we're supposed to use when someone claims to be a prophet is to look at the spiritual fruit. And here he is seducing teenage girls, telling them that he's married to them, and doing all sorts of gross things. He has promised fidelity to his wife, Emma, and then he breaks this repeatedly and claims God wants him to do it. It's not just like individual human failings. It's using the name of God to justify adultery and sexual predation. Like, those are not good fruits, and that's fine to call out. Second, you can make the theological argument that Jesus very clearly in Matthew 19 restores and elevates marriage to its original dignity and says as much. He says that Moses permitted divorce because of the hardness of the people's hearts, but he says from the beginning it was not so. And then he says, what therefore God has joined together, let not man put asunder. So he is restoring and elevating marriage, and you completely lose that whole arc of salvation. Like, just from a narrative perspective, things are moving in one direction, and you have this really incoherent reversal where it's not a strict logical contradiction. It just doesn't make any sense of the story. And in my debate with Jacob Hansen, I referenced Star Wars, when you just have these like weird plot twists, like, oh, look, he's not dead after all. Somehow he survived. Like, that's not convincing. And so the story of the Old Testament to New Testament is narratively tight. It makes sense. The Old Testament points to the New Testament. The Book of Mormon does not read organically like a sequel. It reads like someone basically writing fan fiction about the Bible, where you're just inventing kind of new dimensions to go with it that are not, like, there's no foreshadowing that is then unpacked. You've just kind of it's like when Disney took over Star Wars and they don't know what to do with the series. But then there's a third way of presenting it, where you're not going off moral intuition and you're not going off of salvation history. You're just making a strict argument from contradiction. And this, in my view, is actually the strongest one, because it doesn't matter your opinions about polygamy. It doesn't matter your view of salvation history. It's just literally two opposite things can't be simultaneously true at the same time in the same manner. In the Book of Mormon, in Jacob 2:24, God is alleged to have said, behold, David and Solomon truly had many wives and concubines, which thing was abominable before me, saith the Lord. But then in Doctrines and Covenants 132, it says the opposite. It says, David also received many wives and concubines, and also Solomon and Moses, my servants, as also many others of my servants from the beginning of creation until this time, and in nothing did they sin, save in those things which they received not of me. And then it goes on to specify in the next verse, this is a reference to Bathsheba. So you can simply compare the Book of Mormon with Doctrines and Covenants and say, okay, was it sinful for Solomon to have many wives? Jacob 2:24 explicitly says yes. Doctrines and Covenants 132-38 explicitly says no. These cannot both be right. because that's just a straight up black and white contradiction. And so I would present maybe all three prongs of that to say it isn't just that it's gross to our moral standards today. This is contrary to what God had taught from the beginning. And these are big red flags where there are these contradictions where, and in the context, Doctrines and Covenants 132 is written after Emma catches Joseph Smith cheating on her with a teenage girl. And then he claims to have this revelation from God, ordering Emma not to leave him. And the whole thing, read in that light, is really spiritually dark. And it contradicts not only the Bible, it contradicts the Book of Mormon as well. And those things are worth calling out, both because of what they say in terms of you can't logically affirm this contradiction, and because it shows a spiritual darkness in the founder who claims to be a prophet of God.
Suzanne, got to leave it there. Thank you very much for that. We are going to go into a quick break. Perfect time to call. Lots of folks answered the call. I'll tell you right now, we're down to $15,000 left to match in the match this hour. So it's not great, but it's doable. We had a slow first half. $15,000 in match money left. That's perfect for you. Call. Use up all that match money. 888-291-8000.
Catholic Answers Live would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners in airing our daily program. Please support the stations and networks that carry us each day, ensuring that we have a platform for broadcasting the show. And please bear in mind that while we do not have to pay for airtime on our affiliate stations, neither do they contribute to the operating costs we incur. It's a great relationship, but it requires that we turn to you, our devoted listeners, for your prayers and financial support to cover our ever-growing expenses. Please call 888-291-8000 right now and help to keep Catholic Answers Live strong. That's 888-291-8000. Or you can donate securely online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. What began as a humble one-hour daily show that was carried by 4 radio stations has, with the generosity of many fantastic people like you, blossomed into a 2-hour broadcast heard on hundreds of AM and FM stations, the internet, Sirius XM radio, Facebook, YouTube, and via podcast. We don't make that possible, you do. We simply cannot continue this media mission without your most generous gift today. Call 888-291-8000 or log on to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and donate now. People tell us all the time how much they depend on Catholic Answers Live to help them better learn, live, and share their faith. What they're really saying is they depend on you for that. Will you come through for them right now? It only takes a couple of minutes to make a huge difference at 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Again, 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. No matter how much you give, be assured of our gratitude and know that God will richly bless you. Phone 888-291-8000 or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. It's important that you take this important step right now, today, to make sure that Catholic Answers Live is here tomorrow and for years to come. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Welcome back. Catholic Answers Live. Really having a great time, as I thought we were going to, having a great time with Joe Heschmeyer. Still, all the lines remain full, so plenty of people with questions for Joe. It's Ask Me Anything and on the Catholic faith, and Joe's here to answer those questions. We are also in the 4th hour of our 6-hour pledge drive. We do it 6 hours each quarter. We just come to you for part of each hour to ask you for your support. And right now, we've got $15,000 in match money for the next half hour. $15,000 to use up. If you could help us with that, it would be wonderful. You just call 888-291-8000. There's a second match. If you can make a one-time gift of $500 or more, that is matched a second time. So $500 becomes $1,500 to us. 888-291-8000. $15,000 to go in match money this hour. There is a third match if you can make a new monthly pledge. $20 or more per month, you will be matched again. So your money is tripled as well. 888-291-8000. Joe, thank you for continuing hanging out with us, continuing with us in this fundraising day.
Pleasure.
Did you know we have a special guest in studio with us? Were you aware of that?
I did. As I said, putting the guest in guest is a surprise guest.
Director of development here at Catholic Answers, Christine Venditti. Hi, Christine.
Hi, Cy. Hi, Joe.
First of all, thanks for finding donors who give us this match money.
It is all thanks to the donors. I mean, I just talk to them, but they're the ones that fuel the whole thing. They're amazing.
Yeah, and it has made for a great pledge drive this time. Very, very exciting.
Yeah, and the matches, I just want to say that the donors who have put up our matching challenges, I'm so grateful to them. And the reason that they do this is because they are so excited and have been touched by the work of Catholic Answers and Catholic Answers Live. And they want to bring other people along with them. So these matching challenges, they say, we'll put these up because we want to excite other people about supporting Catholic Answers. If they haven't supported yet and they're looking for a reason to give, knowing that their gift will be doubled or tripled depending on what they're able to do, it's their way of trying to bring you into something that they have been so blessed by. And I'm so grateful to them for that. And I'm so grateful for all of you who have given so far.
888-291-8000 is how you can call and use up some of that match money. Under $15,000 now. 4 lines active, 9 of our colleagues ready to take your calls. Please give them a call, 888-291-8000. Christine, what do you go out and you talk to people who give these large sums. What do they think of Joe Heschmeyer? Is he a problem, or are they happy with him?
They love Joe.
Be both.
They love Joe Heschmeyer.
She was like, some this way, some that way.
I have had people ask me, about his fashion choices, but
if they need links, I can send them some links if they're looking.
Where you get this stuff?
To step up their wardrobe.
Just go to the Red Rose Marzipan website. You can get Joe's wardrobe.
But all of the time they say about Joe, about you, about Trent, about all of our guys, how much they love hearing you all talk to on the show. People who are just searching. They're searching and they don't know what they're going to get on the other end of this line, maybe when they initially call in, but consistently they get kindness, they get truth, and that really is a reason why people choose to support this program, because they know that it's important to have. And a lot of the people who support us, they themselves were touched by the show. And I don't know if you've all, who's listening, if you've all seen the beautiful video of 100 Lives Changed by Catholic Answers Live. There are stories after stories of people who really, really were helped by this program. And it's you, Cy, it's you, Joe. It's talking to people on the other end who are willing to help and reach them where they're at.
$14,000 now to use up. We are going to let Joe answer calls. Don't worry. We're going to go to the phones, but we've got Christine here with us, and we thought that what a great opportunity to have her come in and make
answer
the pitch,
questions.
so to speak. Oh, she's going to answer. She's going to answer. Are you going to answer theological questions?
That would be instead of an ask me anything, it would be like, wow, she's trying her best type of hour.
I think that'd be a great. I like that branding. Oh, wow, she's trying her best 2-hour show.
888-291-8000. 12 lines open right now. 888-291-8000. People ask me, is it hard to go on the air and ask for money and all that? I don't find it hard because I know where the money's going. Now, you ask for big sums of money.
People ask me this question a lot. And people and just my friends, and they're like, how do you do this? I'm not asking for money for myself. And so I think that's where it just becomes easy, because it's really inviting people into the joy of what I see benefiting so many thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands. We reach millions of people. Yeah. And inviting people who have been blessed with the ability to support us to join us in that is actually really exciting for me. It's not difficult, because if you are not able to support us financially and you're able to support us with our prayers, that's amazing, and we need that. But people who are looking for ways to bless the church and to bless others with what they have, I want to let them know this is an amazing way to do that.
Yeah. You have a great attitude about it. Go
ahead. I got to say, the thing you just said about the reach, I didn't know how many people Catholic Answers reached. I don't know if the numbers are public on this or not, but I heard how many copies of Trent Horn's book, Why We're Catholic, have been sold. And it just hadn't, the cumulative number.
We talk about it publicly. We just don't tell Trent, because he's going to want to check for that.
So he's going to be like, you guys haven't paid me at all for this.
Just don't mention to Trent that it sold really, really hundreds of thousands of copies of
right,
Trent's.
Which if hundreds of thousands of people are receiving that book, you have to wonder how many more people have tuned into the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you hear hundreds of thousands, over 1 million, et cetera, and those numbers can sound flimsy, but then you actually do the math and you're like, no, that actually kind of checks out. That seems like it might be right. And this is an incredibly inexpensive way to reach that many people in what I hope is a profound way. We talk about marzipan and sometimes theology.
Let's do that. Let's talk about a little bit of theology. You want to hang around with us for a minute, or you got to go? 888-291-8000. You were going to go, but you're like, sure, absolutely.
No, I'm good.
888-291-8000. Go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com, or real easy, just text the word Catholic to 24365. We've got $14,000 of match money to use up. We're going to let Joe answer a question now, and then I'll come back and let you know if the line's filled up. 888-291-8000. Joseph in Nashville, Tennessee. We had a tough connection before. Welcome back. You got a question for Joe?
Yes, I do. And by the way, nobody's telling me to say this. I've worked as a missionary full-time and part-time over the last 10 years, and there is no greater set of resources that I have ever used in reaching college students, young adults, people overseas than Catholic Answers. That's why my wife and I donate so much. That's why we share our resources with people. Heck, I even check your jobs board because I know one day you'll need a data analyst, and I'm going to be the first one to apply for it.
I don't even know what that is, but I feel like we need one, Joseph. I feel like we need one now.
That's beautiful.
Thank you for that. What a beautiful testimony. Thank you. Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So my question actually refers to Joe's recent debate with Doug Wilson. There was one point in Counters where you had mentioned, I guess, 2 Zechariahs in the Old Testament, and Doug responded, that sounds like a problem. And I knew that was something significant in the debate, but I didn't understand the context. So I just wanted, understanding.
Doug and I were on our own wavelength right there, and nobody else knew what we were talking about. But I'm happy to get a chance to explain it because, we were just completely geeking out. But it's a really important point. So one of the arguments I've heard Doug Wilson make before, he made it sort of in the debate, and he's made it elsewhere, and a lot of Protestants will make this argument, goes like this. In Matthew 23, 34 to 36, Jesus says that they will be responsible for the blood of innocent Abel to the blood of Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, whom you murdered between the sanctuary and the altar. And that seems on the surface to be 2 random names. It's like, okay, well, Abel's clearly the first person martyred, but Zechariah is not the last person chronologically. And so some clever Protestants said, no, what Jesus is doing here is he's endorsing the modern Jewish Old Testament. Because in the modern Jewish Old Testament, the order of books ends with 2nd Chronicles. And so the last person, not in chronological order, but in order of the way the books appear in the Jewish Bible, would be Zechariah. And so it's from A to Z, from Abel to Zechariah. And so therefore, Jesus must be endorsing this Protestant/Jewish Old Testament. Now, this argument doesn't work for a lot of reasons. It's, like I said, it's very clever. I really admire the argument in one sense, other than it being very blatantly wrong. And the reason it's wrong is because Jesus tells us which Zechariah he's talking about. He's talking about the blood of Zechariah, the son of Berechiah. That is the Zechariah for whom the book of Zechariah is named. Zechariah 1:1 points out that he is the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo. The Zechariah in 2nd Chronicles is a completely different guy. And it's not in insignificant detail. Different century, different guy, different job. And he is the son of Jehoiada. And in fact, if you read 2 Chronicles 24, this matters a lot because the king kills his old priest's son. And it says, thus Joash the king did not remember the kindness which Jehoiada, Zechariah's father, had shown him, but killed his son. And so it's like to suggest that Jesus was trying to refer to Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada, you'd have to say Jesus got the Old Testament wrong. Like he got the wrong Zechariah and then specified that he meant the wrong one, which would be like, hey, your name's Joseph and my name's Joseph, and if Cy couldn't tell us apart, that'd be a problem. But it's a bigger problem if Cy was like, the inspired / the second person of the Trinity. Like, it raises these huge issues. So this thing that's supposed to kind of prove the Protestant Old Testament doesn't work at all. There are other problems with it as well. For example, the order of the books as they appear in the Jewish Old Testament was not settled in the first century. The books themselves weren't settled, but we know for a fact from later sources that it's really only in the Middle Ages that the existing, like the Jewish Old Testament as it appears now, is not in the same order as it was in the days of the Babylonian Talmud. And the Babylonian Talmud is creating an order where there hadn't been one, because in Jesus's day, the books exist on independent scrolls. So the whole argument doesn't work. If you want to know what's actually happening in Matthew 23, the best argument is that Abel is killed in the wilderness and Zechariah is killed at the altar. So it's from the furthest to the innermost parts. So there is this from A to Z sort of dimension, but not in terms of chronological or canonical order, but in terms of location. Like from the farthest away from the altar to the nearest to the altar, you have this pattern of killing the righteous ones. That's what Jesus is calling out. So that's what was happening. And so I pointed out in that debate that he had the wrong Zechariah, and I think he kind of realized, oh yeah, that would be a problem for the argument.
Joseph, I'm going to say thank you, because I've got to come back to folks and let them know that we're a bit stalled here, but we've got 20 minutes left in the program. We need your help to use up our $20,000 dollar for dollar match this hour. 888-291-8000 is the number to call. 888-291-8000. Every gift matched now. $14,000 left on that. So you make a $100 gift right now, it's $200. You make a $200 gift, it's $400 to us. There are two other matches. A $500 gift is double matched. So we have someone who will, in addition to the original $20,000 match for the hour, they'll make a second match of any gift of $500 or more given this hour. 888-291-8000. There's another match as well. Everybody who gives a monthly pledge, all of that entire monthly pledge is getting matched, but it'll be double matched if it's $20 or more by another donor who will do that. So please pick up the phone and call. We've got 12 lines open right now. We really are in need of your help. 15 minutes to go in our time with you, and more like $14,000 to go. 888-291-8000.
And side, people know they can text too. If you don't want to pick up the phones, if you're more like let me just kind of do this on my own, you can text Catholic to 24365. It'll send you a link to a form. You can go ahead and donate that way, or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. And I don't know if everyone knows this, but you can give if you've got a Venmo balance in your Venmo account. You can give through Venmo.
Will that go towards the match?
That's
too?
on the phone. That'll go towards the match. Sometimes I forget. I have a little bit of a Venmo balance sitting there. So if that's you and you check your balance and you're like, oh, I could send this in, go ahead and do that. But we also need those larger gifts. And that when those gifts are double matched, that goes a really long way towards us getting the full matching amount. So if you're able to do that, we would so greatly appreciate it. Like Joe was saying, this is a very efficient way to reach so many souls. And when you reach one soul, you don't know what the effects of that's going to be. That person may convert their entire family. They may convert their entire community. And that's possible because of your support. So please do. 888-291-8000.
888-291-8000. 3 folks called. That means 10 lines open. That's a lot of lines open with just 15 minutes left in the show. And we're under 14,000 to raise now, so it's quite doable. If you are an especially blessed person who can do a $500 gift, maybe a $1,000 gift, we've had one woman, Judy from Nevada, earlier today was able to make a $5,000 gift. That's an extraordinary amount of generosity, but it will help us. It will very much help us, and it will be double matched right now. We've got plenty of money left in the match to do that. 888-291-8000.
You can also mail in a check if you want to call and
the old-timey way.
Yes.
Can you still do that?
You can
get a
still
stamp
do it.
and mail in a check.
We'll send you a stamp if you want us to. So you just call and let someone know that you'll send that in, and we'll count it towards the match.
Christine, not
what
leaving
about commodities? Like if they have wheat, can they donate wheat?
Gift of finest wheat.
We actually
That'll
got.
start playing in the background.
I love that. We have had gifts of wheat and corn, and I think the way they do it is the wheat and corn is held in an account at a silo, and then that account sells, and we get the cash. So yes, that has happened, Joe.
It would be really funny if we got just a shipment of wheat to the building.
Now that would not be that funny, because nobody here knows what to do with wheat.
I bet some
When's the
people
last
have
time
a
you saw a
freshly
farmer in
milled.
this town? 9 lines open now, 5 on, so that's beautiful. The lines are starting to fill up. We really are in need of your help. 888-291-8000. CatholicAnswersRadio.com online, or text Catholic to 24365. So if you go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com, one of the options is give from your Venmo account?
Yes.
Oh.
I think there's a PayPal option.
I like it.
Really, we're not
I like
leaving we're not leaving too many excuses. If you
No, any way you want to. If you'd like to come to the building, you can come and just hand us money.
If you've got like nice rings on your finger, you can drop them in the mail, send them in, we'll pawn them for you.
Well, Joe, why should people give?
Because you're reaching people who in many cases cannot be reached another way. We talk about this sometimes, people who are imprisoned, people who maybe they can't get Catholic books because their children at home and their parents don't want them to know more about the Catholic Church, or I've talked to people who listen to Catholic radio because they're currently Protestant clergy, and they're starting to explore these uncomfortable questions, and they don't want to get a book that shows up to the rectory that says Catholic Answers on it, but they'll tune into the show. And so it's good conversation. It allows us in this very human way to connect. There's a beautiful expression from St. John Henry Newman, cor ad cor loquitur, heart speaks to heart, that there's something about this encounter where you get to hear people just lay out the most intimate struggles that they may have, these moments on their journey, and this reaches us in this deeply human way, and it's incredibly transformative, and God graces these kind of moments. So this is a wonderful way to get to share that. If you say, I wish I could do more to help evangelize, this is a very easy, concrete way. And here's the thing. There's a lot of people out there with ideas that they think might work, and God bless them for it. I'm not going to knock any of those. And some of them may be amazingly effective. Some of them may not be. We know this works. It's worked for years and years. We're seeing the spiritual fruit of it. I just talked with people again today that said, I can attest to the effect that this is having in terms of an uptick in people coming into the church. And people come in for whatever reason they want, because the Holy Spirit is the one who's at work there. But we do what we can to aid that. And we're seeing that good spiritual fruit. So we invite you to be part of it.
888-291-8000. The lines have moved, but we have not filled them up. 6 lines open right now. We can fill those. And I think we'll let Joe go back to the phones. If you'll keep calling, I think we'll let Joe go back to doing what he's here for, which is to answer people's questions about the faith. Let me reset for you real quick, and then I'll take a call. 888-291-8000. We've still got thousands of dollars in match money, so whatever your gift is, we can match it. It'll be double matched if you can make a one-time gift of $500. It'll also be double matched if you can start a new pledge, a monthly pledge of $20 a month or more. You can go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. You can text the word Catholic to 24365, and 6 lines open. You can call 888-291-8000. I'm going to Father Scott now in Green Bay, Wisconsin, watching on YouTube. Father, thank you so much for waiting. Thank you for your call. Go ahead with your question for Joe.
Well, thank you for having me. First off, I want to say kudos to Edgar for the fact that I got zero special treatment for being a priest and a former classmate of Joe. Or I was
hey, Father.
Good for Edgar. No special treatment. I had to wait, and I did.
Well, that might have been my mistake, Father. I might have blown that.
Nope. Well, then either way, you made the right call.
Okay.
That's the right move. But what I want to say, first and foremost, is just a thank you to all of you. Joe, you know me. Cy,
I do.
And please bear with me on this. Joe, as much as I appreciate your puns, Cy, I'm entirely on your side.
Thank you, Father. Thank you. Oh, that's a priest. That's clergy, Joe. I've got clergy on my side on this.
So can I make a plug at the end? Just not for me, for you.
Of course. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. But before that, so I tuned into this. I listen to you guys all the time, everyone on Catholic Answers. I also listen to it when I work out, which is probably why I'm not particularly jacked. But I saw the title Defending the Papacy and missed the AMA, so I came up with a question regarding the papacy. But that's just my own lack of attention to detail. So, Joe, I looked it up on ChatGPT to see if you had already spoken on this, but there's the question in John 21 where Jesus asks Peter, "Do you love me more than these?" And according to ChatGPT, you subscribe to the idea that Jesus is asking Peter whether he loves him more than the other disciples do. And I tend towards, and you're a far better linguist than I am. I do remember that. I'm a canonist. I don't, I just got to be able to mess around in Latin. But if I'm looking at Luke 14 and the idea that, if you don't hate father, mother, sister, brother, hate being loved less than, I tend more to subscribe towards the idea that he's asking him, do you love me more than you love these other disciples? But then I heard a third option recently, which was that he was asking him if he loves him more than the fish that are present, his former occupation. So I just want to get your take of those three. Which do you subscribe to, and why? Are there some nuances in the original text that I'm unaware of, or what?
Yeah, I'm going to give a two-part answer if I can squeeze it in, because it's a great question. When he says, do you love me more than these? In 2004, then Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger argued that this points to the papal call to preside in charity. So one of the early things that we see ascribed to the Church of Rome, this is by St. Ignatius in 107, is that this is the church that presides over agape, over love. And that there is this sign that in the Christian order, the higher you're called in the church, the more you're called to lay down your life. And you see that laid out very explicitly in Luke 22, top of the hour, we talked about that. But this means that if Simon is being called to the heights of the church, he's also being called to the heights of love. And so he's called to love even more than the others do. And so in the words of Ratzinger, presiding in charity means first and foremost to preside in the love of Christ. Let us remember at this point the fact that the definitive conferral of the primacy upon Peter after the resurrection is linked to the question the Lord repeated 3 times, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? And so that's the first indication. But there's another one that Pope Leo actually pointed to, that the more than these is also a reference to the kind of love. And so here's where the linguistics comes in. As Pope Leo points out, when Jesus addressed Peter, the gospel uses the Greek for agape, which refers to the love that God has for us, to the offering of himself without reserve and without calculation, whereas the verb used in Peter's response describes the love of friendship that we have for one another. So read in that light, do you love me more than these? He's referring to the love of the Father. Like they can love in a fraternal way. You are called to love with this divine love. You're called to love in a higher way than just this ordinary love. Now, all of us are called to this higher love. But there is a special sense in which to whom much is given, much will be expected, Luke 12:48. And so Peter does seem to be asked if he will give God this highest and greatest kind of expression of love. And the very last point, in Luke 22, at the Last Supper, Peter is bombastic. He is warned that he's going to fail, and he assures Jesus that he's not going to fail, which is a great indication that he is, in fact, going to fail. In contrast, here, Peter's not bombastic. He's humble. He recognizes his own limitations profoundly. He's being called into this kind of divine love that is difficult to do and that he's actually incapable of doing unaided by divine grace. And so I think we see in Peter's response a perfect humility. Having been humbled by the threefold denial, he now realizes the limits of his love for God, and precisely for that reason, he's able to be transformed in this way where he can love more even than the others do.
Father Scott, I'm sorry, but we're gonna the music's gonna play here. I hope you'll call back when Joe is on again, and we'll because I know you had more to say, but I got to let people know we're down to $10,000 to raise. People will stay here answering the phone, but we're just going to be with you for another minute, and then they'll stay answering the phone as long as you'll call. Under $10,000 to raise now, 888-291-8000. Christine Venditti, Director of Development here at Catholic Answers. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me, Cy. And thank you all so much for your generosity. And please, if you haven't called yet, pick up the phone. 888-291-8000.
And Joe Heschmeyer, thank you for 2 great hours. Loved those hours.
Yeah, it was my pleasure.
I want to talk about that shirt sometime, but we'll do that another time. Because I got to just say this on the way out. We will stay and answer the phones as long as you will keep calling. There are 11 lines open right now. 888-291-8000. You thrill them when you call. The people love picking up the phone and talking with you. Take your time or tell them you're in a hurry. Either way, 888-291-8000. Ask about the matches. Ask about the thank you gifts. But do call. We've got about 9,500 left to raise. 888-291-8000.